lost my glasses. Guys, in this video, we're going to revisit that practice door skin that we were working on in the last video. If you remember, I had drilled some 1/4-inch spot weld holes, and when I folded the hem flange, it dimpled the outside of the skin just ever so slightly on the edge of the door skin. I'm going to show you how to fix that damage. Stick around. I wanted to share with you a few things here. I've actually been working this edge down just ever so slightly with the file. It was hard to see the imperfections with this black shiny e-coat. And this is the file that I'm using. It's a real fine file. I don't know if the camera's picking up just how fine that is. But it works really good for just removing just a ever so slightly bit of material. This is the info for it. What you can see now is the low spots. Everywhere that there's a hole there, and if you remember, I actually enlarged those holes to a 1/4 inch, which I don't think it would have been that bad if I'd have left them at 3/16. But that's what I wanted to show you. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and flip this over, and I'm going to do the plug welds on it, and then I'll address that. I wouldn't normally do this at this stage. I'm just, like I said, this is all for practice. I normally just put it on the car. Most likely when we get to doing the gaps, you know, these would have to be adjusted anyway. But like I said, I just want to go ahead and work them out and see how they turn out. I wanted to give you a tip here. Always save your old metal, because it can help you dial in the welder before you actually commit to your project. And actually, that's really what this door skin is going to help us do. That's really what we're doing here. This is part of the original door skin that I cut off. And on Project Overkill, I actually had a very difficult time finding a driver's side door. And I was trying to replace that door, but I just couldn't find one that was good enough. And I actually took 2 frames and used both of them to come up with one decent frame that would be a good candidate for a door skin. And that's what this is. It's part of an old frame that I've cut up, and I've saved it. So save that stuff, because it will help you dial in your welder and just make sure that the setup is working properly before you commit to your project. Okay guys, so we got it all welded up, and I had the welder a little hot. I was actually set at a 14 gauge setting, and it may have been a little too hot. Where you get into trouble at is if the frame is not covering the hole all the way. It will blow out on you. Like say this one right here, when you come around this corner, it will blow this out. So you kind of got to be careful right in that area. Check it out, red fox in the backyard. I'm gonna dress this. I did blow the edge out all the way right here, but we'll see what this looks like. We may still do a little bit of dressing on the top. I can still feel that that one's low. This one may have come up, so This one's still a little low. We'll dress this, we'll flip it over. Guys, is it custom welding or custom grinding? Or is it a little bit of both? I'm going to go with C, a little bit of both. All right, so we spent way too much on this just for what it is, for practicing, but I do want to show you it all finished out. It finished out really nice. Right here where I blew the edges out, you can see a little bit of overlap there. And if you really wanted to get serious about it, you could take a small cutoff wheel on a Dremel and just take that right off. There's really no need because there'll be a smear seam sealer in here anyway. And somebody's going to ask me how I did this. And I've showed it in prior videos, but it's buried in hours of content. So I'll show you the tools. Basically, you start off with the Norton medallion cutoff wheel. It's a 3/16, and you use that to take it down to the base metal, just the weld only. And from there, I usually switch over to this, I think that's a 1-inch disc, and you cut these down. When you use all the edges from the 2-inch, then you can cut it and use it on this one. And this is like 36 grit, this is 80 grit. I didn't use that one at all. That's just I think that's a 180, but you can step up in the grits as you get closer. This one in the corner, I did use a belt sander. I actually already put it up, but you can see there I've got two different ones there. And so I did use a belt sander in the corner there. It was just, you couldn't get a disc in there. But and then to finish it all out, we did use the flat disc on the die grinder, and just with a very light touch, and it finished out really nice. I'm gonna get these tools off of it and flip it over, and then I want to look at the other side, and we may dress just a couple edges there and see what it looks like. Also, I forgot to say, none of this welding would take place on a regular door that we were going to use until it had been fitted to the car. And I didn't weld the top flange yet. When I do that, I'll practice, but I'll do from the center out, and that way I'm not wound up with a bunch of excess in the middle that I can't do nothing with. I don't think it'll do that because we had it clamped real good when we folded the edges over, and it actually is fitting real nice to the frame without a lot of pressure on it. I have removed the clamps just so I could get it on the stand. The thing about that fancy table is that I've got all that foam on. No welding with that. That'd definitely catch on fire for sure. All right, so I got it flipped over. One other thing that I wanted to tell you, a lot of people use some seam sealer before they fold the flange over. I didn't do that in this case because the plan is once I get done with the gapping of these doors, which will be the final stage from moving from metalwork to bodywork, we'll do that trick that Fireman showed a few years ago where we fill a syringe with epoxy, and we'll go along the bottom and we'll fill that seam with epoxy. We'll let it set like that for a couple days, and then we'll stand the door on the back edge. We'll fill that seam full of epoxy, let it set a couple days, flip it around on the front edge and do the same thing. So you can definitely see the heat affected zone. And you can see where I had my paint pen, where I had marked where the low spot was. Actually, that feels a little high now. That's still low right there. And I think I'll take the file and run across it. And this is the one that I blowed out right there. It needs to be dressed. But definitely turn the welder down a little bit for that because this is just 20 gauge sheet metal. Right here where it got deformed. I mean, it's probably not even enough to worry about. It's just ever so slightly low. It's a little low right in this area, but I mean, it's just ever so slightly. The door is kind of running inward at an angle. That factory door does almost the same thing. Dives in right at the edge. What I'm going to do is clean this, mark it with a paint pen, add me a little bit of weld to the edge, then I'm going to tap it in with a hammer, see if that'll raise that, and file it. We'll try one and see what happens. So you can see my paint pen mark, and I just welded one little bead there and hit it. My thinking is it will make this come up. Now I'm going to try to file that. So right there's what I got. That really helped it, and it feels good. It needs still to be dressed up just a little bit. I've got just you can see my fingernail catches on it. I just need to roll lock it and dress it up with something really fine. But that took care of that dip that was right there. So that's what you'd have to do to fix it. Hopefully I don't have to do that on those other ones. And the reason being, as I may have mentioned this, these holes are just a little smaller, and they're up from the very bottom where the fold is going to be. It messes with the stretch as you're stretching this over your base, and it does cause it to dent just a little, pucker up right there. Alright guys, right here is where we fixed it. You can barely see just a hint of undercut right there, and it feels really good. It did have that dip in it, and it was messed up right on the edge, kind of like this. And you guys can see that, but I can actually, it feels worse than it looks. But that's the one we fixed. Like I said, I hope I don't have to do that to all of them. I just did it to one here. My thought process was just hitting that in, making the metal expand a little bit, and then I could take a file and dress it up. Kind of feel sorry for the rest of it. Hey, like I said, we're just practicing here. So guys, I am so excited to be working on these doors again. I'm ready to get to that reproduction door skin for our 81 Camaro Project Fast Times, and I think I've got the confidence now to tackle these NOS door skins. I'm excited about what's to come for Project Overkill. Appreciate all you guys following along in this journey with me. Be sure to subscribe and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think.